Welcome to Truth Africa series, unapologetic and truthful. I am your host, Yemi Melikaya.
All right, and so I just want you to understand that the Egyptians we now see are conquerors, just like people who came here and took this land from the Indians, so that they're not indigenous to Africa, those who now rule Egypt. And Egypt is just as much a part of Africa as Birmingham or Alabama is part of the so-called United States.
Let me just be clear on this. So what you're saying to me now is that the people that we see, Sadat and all those guys, are not true Egyptians?
No. The fact that
Sadat's mother was a Sudanese, Nasser's mother was a Sudanese, but their fathers were Arab conquerors. The one that was the African was Mohammed Naguib, the first president of Egypt, the one that overthrew Farouk. But 1 year after that, since he was looking for a hookup with the other Nile Valley countries as it used to be in antiquity, he was removed by the Arab conquerors. The Arabs didn't come to Egypt until 640. The first non-African people came to Egypt, otherwise called the Hyksos, in 1675 BC. The Africans there were already in the 13th dynasty period. They had built every pyramid you saw there before. They had done the S-turn in the Nile. They built every one of the major temples that had already been built, including the Grand Lodge of Luxor. The first European to come there did not arrive until the Greeks arrived with Alexander II, the son of Philip of Macedonia.
Look, I'm a college graduate. I never heard all this stuff before.
Because they didn't intend to teach you that. They can't tell you that you're inferior and teach you that you taught Egypt, Europe. The first Europeans to be civilized by the Africans were the Greeks. When you heard of Homer, the first European to have written anything, you couldn't miss that. They said that Homer wrote the Iliad and the Odyssey. And that was not until 833 BC. The Africans had already, in 255,000 at the Tassili Mountain, they had the Sibyllian period, first, second, and third, the pre-dynastic period, all the way up. The Africans had produced men like this, Imhotep, the multi-genius that designed the step pyramid of Saqqara, the first man to be a physician that even Hippocrates, the so-called father of medicine, is giving him credit and call him the god of medicine. The Greeks changed his name from Imhotep to Aesculapius. There he is. There he is.
Egyptians are black because the real Egyptians, they are real Africans. So those people in Lower Egypt you see in Cairo, Alexandria, and Falahins area, they were mixed between the Turkish, Mamluks, French, English, Romans. So those people who come to attack Egypt in that time, they couldn't come to Upper Egypt, to the south, which we still have the same color, our dark color or black color. So they couldn't mix with us.
Next question. Okay, what question?
هم السمر إنما البيض اللي كلهم you see, I explained to him about the Nubians and the Egyptians. They were not white. They are black Africans. So he say now, ليه هنا الناس لسه سمر في الصعيد وفي بحري بيض.
بحري دولة مش أساس مصر.
He say the people in Lower East, most of them they are not Egyptians. They are Greeks, Francois.
Egypt today is not what we saw in the picture. The question arises, where did the black people go? What led them to leave ancient Egypt was the invasion. Invasion by the Hyksos, the Assyrians, the Turks, what have you. It were ending up with the British. But Julius Caesar was there. And Julius Caesar married Cleopatra. And Cleopatra, like I said the other time, gave birth to a boy who became Caesarus, who was named Caesarus. But when Cleopatra went back to follow the husband, Julius Caesar, to Rome, she took the scribes along, and they carried over 200,000 papyri scrolls containing all the knowledge system of ancient Egypt. So the Romans, if you go to the Vatican today, in the vault of the Vatican, you will have these papyrus scrolls. And what led to the Nicaea conference was an attempt to doctor what had been written by the wise men of the Nile Valley.
You move more north, their attachment to those structures are just not there. There's a lot of reasons why that happens, just in terms of they know it's not them. They know it's not their mindset. They know that they want to exploit it, but they do not know it. It is not part of them. They are an invading force. For them to be in Egypt today is equivalent to Europeans claiming America of 3,000 years ago.
And they could care less about those temples because, number one, they didn't build them. And from an Islamic perspective, they really wouldn't like to see them in existence. The reason they're there is because they are a moneymaker for the Egyptian government. Let's be clear.
When they're over there, they don't respect the ancient monuments as their own. Like when you go to the mosque over there, they respect the mosque. They're not over there smoking cigarettes. They're not selling things in front of the mosque. But when you go to the pyramids and you go to the museums, you go to the Sphinx, people, they're out there hustling. They're out there trying to sell you things. They're smoking cigarettes. They're out there running scams. They're running game on you.
Right.
Can you see this picture? We know this picture?
Yes, but let me see that. What was that? Hold on.
Mr. Obama.
That's Barack Obama?
Obama was my father.
Barack Obama was your father?
Yeah, in the Panorama Place. That maybe later.
Ancient Egypt was a black nation. Europeans invented the theory of white Egyptians who were merely browned by the sun. Experts do not seem to support this view. I phoned 7 Egyptologists at random around the country, and all 7 said it is completely untrue, then asked that their names not be used.
You had 7 Cleopatras. Most of the Cleopatras are kind of mulattoes. They're Greek and Macedonian and African. Greek philosophy is literally stolen Kemetic philosophy. The so-called concept of Greek philosophy was created by Europeans in their Renaissance when they came out of the Dark Ages as a result of the Moors. The Moors introduced Greek philosophers to Europeans.
Ancient Egypt is one of the most fascinating periods in our human history, and it has been studied for thousands of years. Although we have many surviving artifacts from this time period, there is still much speculation about what ancient Egyptians actually look like. In Western drama productions, Egyptians are often portrayed with white or brown skin, but is this actually accurate, or were ancient Egyptians black? Let's look into the history of ancient Egypt to find out more. Historical evidence from Egypt's texts, artworks, and mummies suggests ancient Egypt was always ethnically diverse, so could not be classed as belonging to any one racial category. But it is worth noting that the skin color distinctions we have today did not exist in ancient Egypt. Instead, they simply classified themselves by the regions where they lived. Scholar research suggests that there were many different colors across Egypt, including what we now call white, brown, and black. But this is still a subject of much debate. Many believe skin colors varied between different regions of Egypt, such as Lower Egypt, Upper Egypt, and Nubia. Because ancient Egyptians were around for about 3,000 years, it is also highly likely that changes in ethnicity took place throughout this long time span. Some historians, archaeologists, and writers over the years have argued that ancient Egypt was predominantly black civilization, populated by sub-Saharan Africans. Their research shows how ancient Egyptians once called the land of Egypt and the entire African continent Kemet, meaning land of the black people. Some scholars even argue that all black people are descended from ancient Egypt. Michael Jackson's 1991 music video for Remember the Time is one of the most popular and widespread allusions to this interpretation of history. There is much evidence showing how ancient Egypt was ruled and governed by various prominent black leaders. One is the powerful nobleman Myapri, who was alive during the reign of Thutmose IV. After his death, he was buried in the Valley of the Kings. We know of his skin color from his mummy and from illustrated manuscripts in which he appears darker skinned than the more widely circulated image of Egyptians. It is believed he may be Nubian or Nubian descent. Queen Amos Nefertari is often identified as black, and according to contemporary Egyptologist Sigrid Odell Onis, her skin color was worshipped because it echoes the color of both the fertile earth and the nether world and death. It is thought Lady Rai, a lady-in-waiting to Queen Nefertari, was also black. Her mummy is in remarkably good condition and reveals her dark skin and braided hair. The pyramids were tombs filled with jewelry, perfumes, and other valuables for the pharaoh, who were expected to use them when they became gods in the afterlife. Place of home for the afterlife. Close by is the Sphinx. The statue depicts a mythical creature with a human head and the body of a lion, which stretches to 40 feet long and reaches 66 feet high. The marvel ignites our question about the race. The noses on the statues of many ancient Egyptian pharaohs, as well as the Sphinx, have been destroyed. Claims lay blamed for that destruction at the feet of European colonists who felt the nose represented black faces. But other experts say the defaced statues were as a result of iconoclastic attacks intended to deactivate the life believed to be within them, motivated by politics and spirituality, not racism, says a key role in the ethnically diverse population of Egypt. So Egypt therefore is a melting pot of history, culture, language and race, and united by one collective identity. And there you have it, guys. Kindly share your opinion in the comment box below, and do not forget to like this video so YouTube can share this video with more people like you. Until next time, cheers and have a good one.